Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. Peter Pan. You've always been told Peter Pan was the hero, the boy who never grows up, flying off to Neverland with happy thoughts and fairy dust. But what if he's actually the villain? But here's what people miss. Peter doesn't just live in Neverland, he rules it. And the Lost Boys? They're not guests, they're prisoners. This is what makes him truly evil. Peter Pan doesn't age, doesn't change, and doesn't let anyone else grow either. The Lost Boys are stuck in childhood forever, and if they get too old, they disappear. Some versions hint Peter kills them himself. He's fun, sure, but only on his terms. He rewrites reality, forgets people who leave him, and treats death like a game. Captain Hook might be the villain in Disney's version, but at least he aged. At least he remembered what growing up meant. Eternal youth sounds magical, until you realize you're not living forever. You're just never allowed to move on. The other mother, Beldam, Coraline. In Coraline's world, the scariest monster doesn't have claws or fangs. She has buttons for eyes and a warm smile. Meet the other mother, or as some call her, Beldam. But here's what people miss. She doesn't steal children by force. She offers love, attention, and comfort. She gives them everything they're missing until they can't say no. This is what makes her truly evil. The other mother creates a perfect world just to trap kids inside it. She listens, adapts, and spoils them, right before she asks them to sew buttons into their eyes. And when they refuse, she shows her real face, one made of needles, hunger, and pure control. The souls of past victims float around her web, forever trapped, forgotten by the real world. She doesn't just kill, she erases. And worse, she lets you walk in willingly. She's not a monster under your bed. She's the one waiting with a smile, asking if you're finally ready to stay forever. Mother Gothel, Tangled. She doesn't wear armor. She doesn't cast dark spells. But Mother Gothel is one of the most manipulative villains Disney ever created. And she did it all with a smile. But here's what people miss. Gothel isn't loud or violent. She hides her evil behind fake love. She didn't steal Rapunzel to hurt her. She did it to keep herself young forever. This is what makes her truly evil. For 18 years, she locked Rapunzel in a tower, not with chains, but with guilt. She convinced her she was weak, unsafe, and lucky to be protected. Gothel never yelled. She gaslighted. Every insult came wrapped in a compliment. Every hug was another layer of control. She used fear, flattery, and manipulation to build a prison without bars. And worst of all, she called it love. She didn't steal Rapunzel's life with magic. She did it by making her believe she never had one to begin with. Judge Claude Frollo, the Hunchback of Notre-Dame. Most Disney villains want power. Some want revenge. But Judge Claude Frollo, he thinks he's doing God's work, and that's what makes him terrifying. But here's what people miss. Frollo isn't a sorcerer or a monster. He's a man of law, of faith, of order. And he uses that image to justify cruelty. To him, mercy is weakness. This is what makes him truly evil. He raises Quasimodo to believe he's worthless. He burns homes in the name of purity. And when he becomes obsessed with Esmeralda, he blames her for his own desires. He doesn't take responsibility. He tries to destroy what tempts him. Frollo believes he's righteous while he commits genocide. He doesn't just break the rules. He rewrites them to fit his own twisted morality. And when the world doesn't bow to him, he'd rather see it burn. He didn't wear a mask or hide in the shadows. He stood in the light and called his evil justice. That's the scariest kind of villain. Shou Tucker, Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood. Some villains destroy cities. Some start wars. Shou Tucker didn't need an army. He just needed his own daughter. And that made him one of the most hated villains in anime history. But here's what people miss. He wasn't some madman in a lab. He was quiet, polite, and even called a genius. He offered tea while hiding a nightmare. This is what makes him truly evil. Tucker was desperate to keep his state alchemist license. So, to prove his worth, he fused his daughter Nina and their dog Alexander into a living chimera. Her body lived, her mind, gone, her voice, barely human. When the Elric brothers ask him why, he shrugs, cold, detached, like it was just part of the job. No guilt, no sorrow, just science. He didn't sacrifice a stranger. He sacrificed his child and then smiled like he deserved praise. He didn't break the laws of nature. He broke the one rule every parent should live by: protect your child. And that's what makes him unforgivable. Yubaba spirited away. She runs a bathhouse, offers work to lost travelers, but behind her giant smile and glittering gold, Yubaba is a soul-stealing tyrant in disguise. But here's what people miss. Yubaba doesn't scare you with violence. She scares you with contracts. She gives you a job, a place to stay, even food, and then she takes your name. This is what makes her truly evil. Once she has your name, you start to forget who you are. Your identity, your purpose, even your memories start to fade. You become another worker, just a body filling a role. She turns humans into pigs, traps spirits in debt, and hides cruelty under rules and business. And when you finally won out, she dares you to remember the name she took. Yubaba doesn't need chains. She uses paperwork and fear. And the worst part? Most don't even realize they're prisoners. She doesn't steal your soul with magic. She makes you sign it away yourself. Koba, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Most villains want power. Koba wanted revenge. And the scariest thing, you understand why. But here's what people miss. Koba isn't some mindless monster. He's a survivor. A lab experiment tortured by humans, burned, cut, and locked away like nothing. He didn't start with hate, but it's all he had left. This is what makes him truly evil. When Caesar offers peace between apes and humans, Koba sees weakness. He fakes loyalty, manipulates allies, and starts a war, not just to win, but to punish everyone who ever hurt him. He kills his own kind, frames others, and uses fear to rise to power. He becomes the very thing he swore to destroy. And in the end, he doesn't care who suffers, as long as humans bleed. Koba's tragedy isn't that he became evil, it's that he was broken into it and chose to stay there. Revenge gave him purpose, but when you live for nothing else, you burn everything around you, even your own people. Sylar, Heroes TV series. Most villains want to rule the world. Sylar just wanted to be special. But the way he went about it? Pure horror. But here's what people miss. Sylar didn't start out evil. He was just a watchmaker, quiet, forgotten. Until he discovered he could steal powers by opening skulls. This is what makes him truly evil. Sylar didn't kill out of anger or revenge. He killed because it made him feel important. Every new ability gave him something others didn't have. And once he started, he couldn't stop. He smiled as he hunted people down. He studied their lives, earned their trust, then tore their heads open. But it wasn't just about power, it was about identity. He had to be the best, no matter the cost. Even when given a second chance, he chose blood over redemption. Because deep down, Sylar didn't just fear being weak. He feared being normal. He didn't want to destroy the world. He just wanted to prove he deserved to be above it. And that made him unstoppable. Ghetsis, Pokémon Black and White. Most Pokémon villains want power. Ghetsis wanted control. Not over Pokémon, but over people. And he nearly pulled it off. But here's what people miss. Ghetsis didn't shout or steal. He built a movement. He convinced the world that Pokémon battles were cruel, that trainers were the real villains. People believed him. This is what makes him truly evil. While preaching liberation, Ghetsis secretly trained a legendary dragon to crush anyone who resisted. He didn't want peace. He wanted a world where only he could use Pokémon. He raised a child, Ian, to be the face of his cause. Used him like a puppet. Lied to him. Ghetsis didn't just manipulate strangers, he destroyed the life of his own adopted son. And when N finally sees the truth, Ghetsis doesn't apologize. He snaps, he screams, he tries to kill. The mask falls, and the monster shows. He didn't need to steal your Pokémon. He convinced you to give them up, while he built a throne on your trust. Queen Bavmorda, Willow 1988. She's not as famous as Maleficent or the Evil Queen, but Queen Bavmorda is one of the darkest sorceresses fantasy ever gave us. And her evil, it goes far beyond spells. But here's what people miss. Bavmorda doesn't just want to rule. She wants to erase all hope. When she hears a prophecy about a baby that could end her reign, she doesn't try to corrupt it. She tries to destroy it. This is what makes her truly evil. She sends her army to wipe out villages, steals children from their mothers, turns brave warriors into pigs. And when she finally captures the prophesied baby, she prepares a ritual to banish its soul forever. Bavmorda's magic isn't elegant or charming. It's brutal, cold, ruthless. And she doesn't care who she hurts, because love, innocence, and destiny are threats to her throne. She rules with fear and ends with madness, screaming as she's consumed by her own dark power. She didn't just fear losing her kingdom, she feared a world where she wasn't feared at all. That's what made her dangerous. These villains were hiding in plain sight. Now you know. Which one creeped you out the most? Let me know below.